Pittsburgh Steelers. This shouldn't take us long, Stephen. Mike Tomlin, Matt Canada, Terrell Austin as your coaching staff here. Who comes in? James Daniels, Miles Jack, Mason Cole, Mitch Trubisky, Levi Wallace. Out, of course, Big Ben retired. Juju Smith-Schuster's gone. Ray McLeod is gone. Trey Turner's gone. James Washington is gone. Where did they make their big splash? That would be taking Kenny Pickett in the first round. Will he play this season? My guess is at some point, yes, but we shall see. George Pickens, a wide receiver, in the second round. DeMarvin Leaf, a defensive end, in the third round. Calvin Austin, a wide receiver, in the fourth round for this squad, who was the 25th offense DVOA last year, according to Football Outsiders. I can only imagine it's going to hover somewhere in that neighborhood again this year. It is the fourth toughest schedule in the NFL as we enter 2022. So there's just not a lot going right for this team. Stephen, certainly not a lot whenever you look at the 30th ranked offensive line heading into the season with either Mitch Trubisky or a rookie quarterback under center. No projected starting lineman had a grade over 71 for Pro Football Focus, and their tackles last year in Moore and Okorafor had 57 and 62 ratings last year on the offensive side. I think this is going to be a slog of a season for this squad. I think it's going to be brutal at times to watch this team on the offensive side of the ball. And even though there are some playmakers, of course, George Pickens, I do think down the line is going to be a really good player in this league. You still have Chase Claypool. You do have Najee Harris. With that offensive line like that, with the quarterback situation that it is, I just don't see a bunch of sunshine and rainbows here for this Steelers team.
What happens when you have an offensive line as bad as the Bengals last year, but you don't have Joe Burrow? You have the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And my hot take for this season is that the streak of 18 seasons without a losing record ends this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will be betting them under 7.5 wins sometime here in the next week. They have the cheapest offensive line in the NFL, and it's $3 million less than the next cheapest, and they got what they paid for because bottom three in pass block win rate and run block win rate last year. Still likely that bottom five unit, as you mentioned, because they brought back 4 of the same 5 offensive linemen again. The left tackle, Dan Moore, 75th among tackles by PFF. The left guard, Kevin Dotson, number 51 guard by PFF. The center, Kendrick Green, was 35th among centers out of 40. Yeah. He's competing with Mason Cole, who allowed an 8.1% pressure rate, worst among all centers with 100-plus pass block snaps last year. So that's not going to be an upgrade. Right guard James Daniel, former second-round pick, that might be the only upgrade on this offensive line. And the right tackle, Chiwuma Okafor, number 64 graded tackle out of 88 by PFF.
Najee and now throw in a quarterback that hasn't started in multiple seasons or a rookie, one of the two. And so this just equals bad situation, man.
I mean, Najee Harris, less than 1 yard before contact last year, dead last among running backs, bottom 5 in several other team rushing metrics as well was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I mean, what's more likely going to happen here, Matt? That they're going to somehow be more pass heavy, or that the Steelers are going to go to their old-fashioned ways with a young quarterback and want to run the ball even more. So they're going to put their quarterbacks in really tough down and distance situations here to pick up first downs. And I don't think they're going to be efficient enough running the ball. Here's the craziest part. I mentioned how bad they were on yards before contact per rush. That was with facing the third lowest 7+ man boxes in the league. Yeah. They weren't even facing heavy boxes last year.
No, because nobody was threatened by Ben Roethlisberger, and they're not going to be threatened by Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickens either. And so it's going to be a lot of the same, in my opinion. Now it's not all bad here. The defensive line, obviously, anytime you have T.J. Watt and Cam Hayward, you have a pretty damn good building block. Alex Highsmith has at least some upside possibly left in the tank as well. So the defensive line certainly is a massive strength by any stretch of the, by any metric, right? I mean, like TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, that's going to be very good. The problem is if they don't get pressure, the secondary is absolute garbage. And so it's like if they don't get pressure and make these guys have to throw super quick and disrupt what's going on with the quarterbacks, they're not going to be able to cover anybody. I mean, Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace, Akilla Witherspoon, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Terrell Edmonds, these are all bottom of the barrel at their position type guys. Edmonds and Fitzpatrick had grades of 58 and 57.2 last year. Wallace and Sutton sitting there at the corner positions are sitting there at 62 and 59 respectively. So you are talking a really like a bottom 5 secondary paired up with a top 5 defensive line. So there's going to be so much pressure on Watt and Hayward and those guys to get pressure. And if they don't, teams are going to throw for days against this squad. So I'm with you, Steven. 8 wins for the over on the win total to get there for this squad. I just do not see it. I have not seen it. I've tried to reevaluate how I look at this team to make sure that I wasn't just biased coming into the year because of how bad they were last year. And I just do not see any real big adjustments here that changes the way that I view this squad. I think it's going to be a real rough season here for the Steelers team.
I was kind of subscribing to the narrative that Big Ben was so bad last year that any young quarterback would be an improvement over him going into the season. And then I started doing some digging into this, and I don't subscribe to that anymore. I think it's a false narrative. I mean, if you look at, again, Big Ben was dead last in ADOT and dead last in success rate on passes 10-plus yards downfield last year, and the offensive line is still horrendous. These quarterbacks are going to get pressured. Maybe they can do some more off-script stuff with Trubisky in there and get out of the pocket, but then you're relying on Trubisky to be accurate while on the run, which is a whole other discussion. And the coaching staff, again, was just league average with Ben Roethlisberger in terms of their pass rate on early downs last year. Do you really believe that they're going to be above average in pass rate with younger, inexperienced quarterbacks on early downs this year? I think this coaching staff is old-fashioned. I think they're going to go back to run-heavy approach unless Kenny Pickett can somehow show that he's able to deal with this offensive line. But it's not like they drafted an athlete. They drafted a pocket passer.
And it's hard for me to make Najee Harris bets because for a couple of reasons. When the offensive line is so bad and you expect them to be down in so many games, it's hard to make Najee Harris bets because there's not a lot of upside for a guy that's going to be playing from behind and behind such a horrible offensive line. So that's the other thing about this is like there's not even an easy path to a bet from that side of things. So for me, it's just a pass outside of the win total, which I'm going to take the under. I might even play an alt number under. I think there's a chance this could be a 5. I think there's a decent chance this could be a 5 or 6 win team this year. And so that's kind of where I stand on the Steelers. And it's, they are certainly the outlier in this division with 3 other pretty good squads.
There is a rushing prop on Najee Harris set at 1,200 yards in the market last year, and I just want to double check to see what he did last year in terms of rushing yards. 1,200 rushing yards on the dot last year, and he didn't miss a single game, and he averaged 3.9 per carry. And we know running backs not missing a game in back-to-back seasons is pretty rare. So for a book to be offering the same exact number as last year, I think that's them assuming that they're going to run the ball a hell of a lot more. But the offensive line is trash. He might miss a game, as most running backs do. So I think that line is set closer to its ceiling than it is its median or its mean.
Guys, we'll be talking some AFC East whenever we come back at you. Going to preview each one of these divisions, find you some bets, talk about the bets that are already in our accounts as well here along the way. If you want to follow Steven on the Twitter machine, at Stephen Andress 1, you want to follow me, at Matt Brown M2. And, of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Trust me, you will thank us later. This channel is going to be packed with stuff all football season long and into the NBA season as well. And then, of course, if you are listening to us on the audio side of things, subscribe, rate, and review. Really do appreciate that and help us climb those charts as we try to find more listeners out there And we do that by you guys giving us some comments and some ratings and some reviews. So thank you a ton for that. Again, all the odds we're getting, you can find over on thelines.com. It's very easy to compare all of the odds. Just hit that little prop finder if you're looking for specific players as well. You can make sure you are getting the best number, the best price that is available in your state. For Stephen, I'm Matt. Talk to you guys soon.